Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. So today I will be doing my January 2025, if you can believe it, astrology video. I want to wish everybody season's greetings, whatever it is that you might do to enjoy yourself over this lovely time period, right? So we start off the 1st of January with a bang. But it might be a little bit of a whimpered type bang because we have Mars still retrograde in Leo still, and it will be opposite Pluto in Aquarius. Now, this is not the last time we will have this opposition. We'll also have a final opposition when Mars is going direct. Towards the end of April, it's actually going to be around the new moon in Taurus, which is around the end of April 2025, at 3 degrees of Leo opposing Pluto at 3 degrees of Aquarius. So when we look at something like this, as a dynamic, it can be very motivating. But because Mars is retrograde, there's this element of frustration. And because we've got an opposition with these two very powerful planets, it speaks of more than frustration. It's like there could be some, real blow-ups of some sort. So this is occurring around 1 degree of Leo is where the Mars retrograde is, and 1 degree of Aquarius is where Pluto is. Now, from a positive standpoint, this could be a time, if you have this in your chart, for instance, with the Mars retrograde, to use the power determination of Pluto with the Mars planning side of its energy, right? Mars certainly, when it's going direct, wants to move forward. Let's get this done. But Mars retrograde says not so fast. So there's going to be a buildup of frustration potentially here with this setup. And of course, the other thing is potentially accidents could happen too, right, at this time. Now, on that same day, we have Jupiter will be forming a square with Saturn. And there's two sides to this energy too. So this can bring in frustration where you want to expand to do what you want to do in terms of building structures. And this can apply to on a general mundane level in the world as well as to us personally. But the way you could use this is if you're trying to build something, right? Create something, maybe literally a structure. Because we've got the energy of Jupiter, which is expansive. It wants to grow. And then we have the energy of Saturn, which is the opposite. It wants to condense things. It might want to delay things. It might want to consider things. But if you think of putting both these energies together, this can be effectively building something like a structure or building structures. Now, Jupiter can represent foreign people, foreign things. It can also represent travel. So it's possible that there may be some travel difficulties around this time too. We've got that Jupiter is in Gemini, right? So Gemini does talk to short distance travel mainly, but Jupiter itself represents long term. So it's travel generally speaking. There may be some frustrations here. Communications may not work. Maybe some communication system will break down with regards to travel. That type of thing. And just plain frustrations dealing with things like travel, right? Now, our first lunation is going to be a full moon in Cancer. It'll be at 23 degrees Cancer, 59 minutes. So we're looking at 24 degrees of Cancer on the 13th of Jan at 2:26 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, the north nodes, which are our collective destiny points, will be in Pisces at this time. So this is another big change that's happening, right? And they will ingress. They always go backwards. They start at 29 degrees. So there's 30 degrees in every sign. So we're starting here at 29 degrees of Pisces, and it'll continue to go backwards over the next 18 months. So certainly if you've got your north nodes in Pisces, this is going to be a significant time, this full moon for you, right? because it does form a loose trine, right? So we've got the moon at 24 degrees of Cancer, and then we've got the north nodes at 29 of fellow water sign Pisces. So there could be some nice energy turning up here with regards to our destiny path, right? And especially as we look at our destiny path with great compassion, right? At its positive side, Pisces can be very much about compassion, service to other, charity for other people. But then, of course, with every planet and every sign, there are many sides to it. This can also bring in deception. Now, we do have the moon forming a trine, so this is beautiful energy. I think this may be some inspirational things that happen here at this full moon. And perhaps there will be things related to anything to do with mothering, motherhood, that type of thing, right? And certainly Cancer also represents compassion and nurturing. We have at this time Venus will conjunct Saturn, as well as Neptune. But Venus squares Jupiter. And most notably, of course, this moon conjuncts Mars retrograde. So here we're having Mars retrograde come back into the picture. And so this certainly can bring up irritations, emotional irritations at this time, right? And the degree points we're talking about here is 23 of Cancer, or 24, and 27, which is where Mars retrograde is. Yeah, I would say that if you find yourself just getting irritated or growing irritation, that would be a natural feeling with this conjunction of the moon and Mars retrograde. Take care with that, though, right? So if you're going to be putting yourself in situations with people, or a situation where you are already amped up, you might want to do a little bit of meditating, maybe go for a quick walk, take some 10 breaths, that sort of thing, before you let out some emotional type of energy that may not be constructive. Now, that Mars retrograde does trine both Neptune and the north node. So again, this is a nice support for our destiny paths, right? Especially our destiny path from the standpoint of a mundane level, a worldwide destiny, right? And again, if you've got your, you have your north nodes in Pisces, this could be a big signal for you. The Mars retrograde part of it may just have you thinking about what kind of inspirational things can you do for yourself, right? And so we're talking about here those folks that have their north nodes in Pisces. Now, when we look at the 16th of Jan, again, we have that Mars opposing the Sun. And again, this is an opposition. And so there could be, again, frustrations on this day. So we're talking about 26 Cancer, which is where Mars will be, and then 26 Capricorn in the opposite sign, which is where the Sun will be. The Sun being in Capricorn speaks to me of people that make the laws, people that have that say whether this is right or wrong, institutions, especially old institutions. There could be some battles going on here with regards to that, right? And just straight off frustrations. The positive side of this energy on the 16th of Jan is this marks approximately the halfway point of that Mars retrograde. And so this can also bring up ideas of potential action that you can take in the future. So there may be something come up for you that say, okay, I've been frustrated, you're trying to move forward with whatever it is you're trying to move forward with, but I'm getting this idea now of where I might be able to go, and where that might be able to go may involve people in power, right? That's the Sun in Capricorn. Here in the US, we have Inauguration Day of President on the 20th of Jan. The Sun is conjunct Pluto. I'm just going to go over a few of the aspects here. Technically, I believe it's around noon that the official time period is, but of course, all sorts of festivities and events will happen prior to noon, and that would be in Washington, D.C. We do have the moon at 18 degrees of Libra, but it'll be in Libra that day anyway. And of note, it does conjunct President-elect Donald Trump's own Jupiter that day. His Jupiter is at 13 of Libra. Uranus will conjunct his midheaven, bringing some unexpected things his way. And the Mars retrograde will conjunct his natal Venus and Saturn because they're conjunct in his chart. And note that Uranus will square his natal Mars, which conjuncts his ascendant, so it also squares his ascendant. So it says to me that there's going to be a big influence here with fairness, right? When we look at that moon in Libra, the moon can represent the people. And there's this desire for having balance and harmony. And so we may hear things like that. But Libra can also represent the law. So I'm just thinking there's some kind of laws or law that's going to be brought into our view at this time, perhaps by him himself. But there's some surprises for him on that day. The last lunation of the month is a new moon, and that new moon is in Aquarius at 9 Aquarius 51, so that you can round that up to 10 degrees of Aquarius. That's going to be on the 29th of Jan at 4:36 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So new moons, says the moon and the sun are together. So happy new year for all my Aquarians. Nicely, that sun and moon trine Jupiter. Jupiter is going to be retrograde at this point in Gemini. And so this is a nice setup for what? Measured growth. And perhaps it's measured growth with something to do with Aquarian types of things. And this could be anything from humanitarian type efforts to anything to do with electronic media of any sort, right? YouTube, the internet. It could be a busy day if you've got something around this 10-degree mark of Aquarius. Certainly, I get the impression that the airwaves, are going to be very electric and lots of stuff being said at this time, right? With that big influences of Venus and Gemini. We also have Venus, Neptune, as well as the North Nodes, all in Pisces at this time. And so this sets up some beautiful energy with imaginings, dreaming about things. It could, if you're up for it, that Venus-Neptune together is like the ultimate love relationship, right? And for some, that might very well be what's going to happen here. Let me just take a look at the degrees for that. Yeah, so we're looking at that Jupiter and Neptune's 25 and 27 Pisces, respectively, with the North Nodes at 28. So we can say there's a big conjunction for sure. So if you have anything between, say, 25 or even 24 to 28, 29 of Pisces, this is a beautiful setup for romantic love. But if you're in the music industry or dance, this could bring surprising, fantastic energy to help you put something together that may actually lead you on your destiny path, right? Because we've got those North Nodes conjunct as well. It is a beautiful stellium for sure in Pisces. We have Mercury will be conjunct Pluto, and that's at 1-2 degrees of Aquarius. So this is some big news from, I would say, powerful institutions, powerful people, right? That's the Pluto part. And I would say in Aquarius, again, Aquarius is all about, anything to do with YouTube, the internet, any kind of electronic communications. And Mercury there, conjunct Pluto, says some very powerful pieces of information will be relayed at that new moon on the 29th of Jan. We have Mars retrograde is going to be making a wide trine with Saturn, and Mars retrograde will also make a wide sextile to Uranus. So I think that new moon is going to bring in, I would say, maybe some surprises with regards to changes in our systems of government, which, of course, we are going to be having a change on the 20th, so it follows. But there may be some pretty significant efforts put in here at this new moon to have new starts with regards to that. Now, the fly in the ointment is that Mars is still retrograde. So I think there's going to be some little bit of big or small blow-ups because you can't do what you want to do. You can't make those changes that you want to make. Mars retrograde will also do a wide trine with Venus. And so this is really nice with regards to, I get the idea here of quiet love, somebody expressing their love maybe through not outward means because we've got this Mars retrograde, but maybe through a letter or a kind word of some sort. On the 30th of Jan, we have Uranus will be going direct at 23 of Taurus. So we end this month of January 2025 with the idea of breaking free, right? With Uranus going forward. I almost get like rebellious energy of some sort as well happening at this time. Well, what about February? Let's take a quick peek at that. The full moon will be in Leo, and Pisces, you will have your new moon in February. Mars will go direct at 17 of Cancer, and that's towards the latter part of February. And Jupiter will go direct. So February is looking pretty optimistic too, with regards to being able to move forward. So January still may be a little frustrating for those folks that want to move forward. But hey, we're going to have Mars going direct towards the end of February. Just look forward to that and plan for that, right? That whole Mars retrograde is great to use for planning. And speaking of planning, I am making this sort of mid-December 2024. So for those folks that have not done all their Christmas shopping, maybe even some Christmas shopping for yourself, this might be a good time to book an appointment with me. And there's a combination of different things, starting at $50 right up to well over $100, that kind of fall into everybody's price range, depending what you want to do and the money that you have. You can send somebody a gift. If you'd like me to do somebody's chart as a Christmas gift, just shoot me an email at elpasastrology at gmail.com. All my contact information in that is below here. And we can go from there and I can contact them. But I'd like to do this for you too. This might be an ideal time to nurture yourself, right? So I'm making this video right around that full moon in Gemini, a good time to consider to nurture yourself and have compassion for yourself, right? I look forward to that. All right, next I am going to do individual sign readings for your ascendant and or sun sign. I suggest that you listen or watch for both your ascendant sign as well as your sun sign. They're both important in your chart. The first one, the rising sign, really gives you a better understanding of the areas of life. And remember, these are general forecasts, right? To actually see how it affects you, you need to look at your natal chart. And especially the lunations, are they close to a conjunction or opposition or trine or square exact, right? Otherwise, sometimes these things can go by without really anything happening. All right, Aquarius. So happy New Year to you, because The month of January is when you have your new moon. I'll get to that in a minute. Let's start off, first of all, with that full moon in Cancer. Well, that falls in your 6th house. But along with the full moon, of significance is that Mars in Cancer will be conjunct that moon. And so this could turn out a few ways. This could turn out where that Mars retrograde conjunct the moon has you standing up with regards to what? The place that you work. Maybe you're not being treated right, or maybe you really want that promotion and you get the courage up. That can be very, very much like Mars, to actually speak about it and say, look, I want that job, or I want that promotion, or I deserve to get more money here. And that Mars retrograde conjunct the moon at the full moon in Cancer gives you the courage to do it. I like that. Standing up for yourself, for sure, right? Now, the 6th house also could be your health. So for some Aquarians, you may end some bout of maybe ill health or something to do with your health, that you wrap up something at this time. And, you know, with that Cancer influence, to me, this is speaking pretty loudly to nurturing yourself and literally having compassion for you instead of maybe everybody else. Now, your ruler, Uranus, will be at 23 degrees of Taurus all the month of January. But it will go, it does go direct at 23 degrees as well. Let me just see when that's actually going to be. It's going to be towards, I think it's literally the last. Yeah, it's the 30th. So your ruler Uranus at 23 degrees of Taurus will go direct on the 30th of January. So that's something to look forward to too, right? Now, when we look at that new moon in Aquarius, of course, this is all about you. This is your new start. Now, typically when you say want to make some kind of either affirmation or determination of a wish of some sort, we usually suggest that you wait till after the new moon, because the new moon is literally dark, right? It's got the moon and the sun on top of each other. So wait for a day or two if there is something that you want to put an intention out for, right, at that new moon. So what have we got happening at that new moon? We have the sun, the moon, Mercury, as well as Pluto, all in Aquarius. I see this as very, very supportive in terms of making change for yourself. Remember, Aquarius, you now have Pluto in your sign for the next 20 years or so, right? Now, it's still only at the beginning degrees, but it is there fully ensconced in your sign, Aquarius. So we have that Mercury conjunct Pluto in Aquarius at that new moon of yours. You may have some very powerful things to say, right? And for those Aquarians that maybe have their own podcasts or their own YouTube videos, you may have a very powerful message to give out at this new moon. Maybe some message about you transforming yourself in some way. Maybe your speech, what you say, carries an enormous amount of power at this time. So I would say my only caveat, you probably will have a lot of confidence around that new moon on the 29th of January. But just make sure of what you say and understand the actual effects of whatever it is that you may decide to say at this time, right? Take care, Aquarius. So Pisces, that full moon in Cancer is in a fellow water sign, and it trines you. That's a favorable thing to have happen. And it aspects your 5th house. The 5th house is awesome house, right? So this could have you, for some Pisces, you may give birth at this time. It's quite as simple as that. The 5th house can represent that. It can also represent love and love affairs. So for some, you may be ending a love affair that's not working, But for others, you just may be ending a certain side of it or part of it and maybe deciding to become more serious and committed in a love relationship. I mean, you're going to have that Mars retrograde conjunct the moon in that 5th house. So this also says to me that there may be some consideration of somebody from the past. I mean, the moon can represent the past, and of course, Mars retrograde can represent somebody or something coming from the past. I mean, the other thing that Mars retrograde also can represent that not many people talk about, if you think of it, Mars is passion and energy, right? So going retrograde suggests that you may go back and look at some past passion that you had, and you decide to take it up again right at this time, because that 5th house is a very creative house. So for some Pisces, you may be picking up even a project or some creative thing that you were doing in the past and decide, wow, this did give me a lot of energy. I'm going to take it up again. Now, your ruler, your modern ruler, Neptune, will be conjunct the north nodes. And Saturn will be conjunct Venus, or Venus conjunct Saturn, still at that full moon. So I would say that certainly there may be some really great inspiration come your way with regards to getting you on your destiny path, just generally speaking. And certainly for those Pisceans that do have their north nodes in Pisces, this full moon may be of significance. I'm getting the feeling that this may be a turning point full moon for some Pisces, right? Where you get the inspiration of what you need to do next. With that Venus conjunct Saturn, it could be that there's a damper put on a love relationship. You may have to get more serious about how you spend your money, that sort of thing. Now, the new moon in Aquarius, that falls in your 12th house, which we deem to be a hidden house, hidden places, hidden things, hidden enemies. But it can also be a part of our metaphysical life as well, right? But it can be something like our self-undoing as well, where we keep shoving stuff underneath the carpet instead of looking at it. So that new moon might be a good time to look at what's not working in my life and what could I potentially change here to make things work better for you. But it may have you, for some reason, having to deal with hidden places. And these hidden places that I'm talking about are things like hospitals, ashrams, even prisons, government offices. There may be some Pisces that, you decide at that new moon to maybe take care of yourself, to take some rest, right? The 12th house is the house of rest too. And you decide to do some kind of health spa or ashram at this time. That would be a wonderful way to use this. Now, we do have Mercury conjunct Pluto at that same time of that new moon. So there may be some secrets that pop out for you, Pisces. Now, your big thing, of course, this year, which I will be speaking about in my year ahead forecast, will be that your ruler, Neptune, will be going into Aries, right? And that's going to be in March of this year. Talk more about that later. Take care, Pisces. So Aries, this full moon in Cancer squares you and your 4th house. And remember, we've got Mars retrograde conjunct the moon too in the 4th house. So overall, I would say that there may be some challenges with regards to family, your mother, other family members, or literally your home, frustrations in the home for some reason. And I mean, if you think about it, in the natural zodiac, Cancer does rule the 4th house too. So there's some importance being put here with regards to the 4th areas of life for you in terms of challenges. Maybe you're not going to be able to move forward as you want to with regards to something to do with the home. I mean, this could be buying and selling a home where there's a little bit of frustration that sets in here, where you can't move either fast enough or people aren't moving fast enough for you. Just have patience. That whole Mars retrograde is there to slow you down, but slow you down for a reason so that you're not tripped up later, right? So look at all the details is what I would say regarding family and home. And, Mars does rule your sign. So that Mars retrograde is important to you, Aries, with regards to what? Planning, reconsidering, looking at all the details carefully and seeing when you want to take action, what do you need to put in place so that that action goes smoothly forward? That'll mean something different for every Aries, of course. Now, we do have that Mars retrograde will go direct towards the end of February, next month, right? Now, for you, you have 2 planets that'll be going into Aries this year. You've got both Neptune and Saturn. So this is a big year for you, Aries. I'll speak more about this in my general forecast for 2025, but those are big shifts for you. And the months we're talking about are March and May, Saturn and Neptune, or Neptune-Saturn, respectively. When we look at that new moon in Aquarius, well, it sextiles you, Aries, and that means opportunities come your way through 11th house matters. All right. 11th house are friends, generally speaking, groups we belong to. It's also our hopes, dreams, and wishes. So this might be a good new moon, or at least a day or two after the new moon, to put out some kind of intentions of what you want with regards to your dreams, your wishes, your hopes. Yeah, and I mean that conjunction of Pluto and Mercury could be extremely powerful in that direction, right? But just on the surface, Aries, you may have some friends step in here to help you make a new start. Or you just may make new friends. You may hear from some powerful friends as well with that Pluto conjunct Mercury here, right? They may have something very powerful to tell you. Take care, Aries. So Taurus, that full moon in Cancer, that sextiles you, and it involves your 3rd house. And the significant thing of that full moon in Cancer is going to be Mars retrograde conjuncting the moon. So this says straight off that you're going to have some very powerful communications of some sort put together here. And I would say that it's probably going to do with some kind of planning. Maybe there's going to be some Taurus that are in some kind of commercial or sales venture where you put down or decide on what's important here, right? That's the Mars retrograde conjunct the moon. And especially if it has something to do with females, it can also to do with nurturing. That's the moon part here, right? Or the general public, right? We take that moon way out. It can be generalized to the general public. And so that would be supported here. For other Taurians, this may be an opportunity for you to interact more with your neighbors and or your siblings. For still others, this might be an opportunity to wrap up a writing project of some sort. Now, Uranus is still in your sign, and all month it's going to be in your sign to 23 degrees of Taurus, but it does go direct on the 30th of Jan, right? And so that's, again, to you, especially Taurus, is you breaking free here and or seeking freedom, right? When we look at that new moon in Aquarius, well, it squares you and your 10th house. And you will have Mercury conjunct Pluto in Aquarius at the same time. So I would say there's going to be some challenges here for new starts with regards to something to do with your career, generally speaking, right? And you may get some important information given to you at that new moon from people in power. So that aspect is the Mercury messages, information, conjunct Pluto, power. Yeah, and I always say about squares that it doesn't mean, oh my God, it's all this doom and gloom. It just means maybe you've got to pass a test of some sort, right? And maybe that test is something just online, right? Because Aquarius does rule things like online, internet, that type of thing. But that it gives you maybe a voice of some sort here. So I say stand up to those challenges, right? And if I go back to, I know it was other signs that I spoke about, what that Mars retrograde conjunct the moon can mean, which is going to be, we're talking now really more about that full moon. It's standing up for yourself. Maybe this is going to be a time when you stand up, this month of January, where you stand up for yourself, Taurus. And, ask for what you want with regards to your career and take the challenges on firsthand and make those changes yourself. Take care, Taurus. For Gemini, that full moon in Cancer is in your second house. And also in that second house, of course, will be Mars retrograde conjunct that moon. So this says to me a couple things. This could be an opportunity for you to end some income, maybe even get rid of some possessions, maybe end a way of you looking at how you value yourself or changing how people value you and making this decision. Now, Cancer is a very nurturing sign and compassionate sign. So Gemini, I say, at that full moon, have compassion for yourself. Now, with that Mars conjunct the moon, I think for you too, Gemini, as I've said with other signs, this is you standing up for yourself. You standing up for yourself, I'm not putting up with this anymore. So some Geminis may make the decision they're going to actually be leaving a source of income, which, when you generalize it, equates a job. So you leave your job. But it could equally mean that you end all negotiations and all interviews for a new source of income, which is a new job at this time. And certainly if that new job or new source of income involves nurturing and compassion, that will be very much supported at this time, Gemini. When we look at that new moon in Aquarius, well, that trines your sign beautifully and involves your 9th house. And notably, we have Mercury conjunct Pluto at that time, also in the 9th house. And so this speaks to, the 9th house is a very nice house. It can be a number of things. Travel, foreign people, foreign things are positively highlighted for you. It may be a time when you see the completion of an advanced degree. And certainly Mercury conjunct Pluto is going to be some kind of powerful communication, either by you or from somebody. And the from somebody would probably be someone who is in power. There may be a foreign connection of some sort here too. And for those Geminis that are involved in any legal matter, this could be a very powerful communication positively coming your way regarding that legal matter. For still others, that 9th house can be visas and green cards. Hey, those in power say, here you go. And that's your new start. Now you have this year, Uranus will be ingressing or going into your sign, Gemini, in July. I'll talk more about that in my year ahead forecast. But that's going to be big changes, literally, right? Uranus is all about sudden changes, unexpected changes coming into your life. Now, Uranus is going to stay in Gemini for many years, and certainly for 2025. It's only going to be getting to maybe 1 or 2 degrees at the most before it goes retrograde. So it really won't be to 2026 that you'll find some real effects here, Gemini. Take care, Gemini. So Cancer, you have your full moon at the beginning of the year. This represents your first house. So you're going to have that Mars retrograde conjuncting the moon in your first house. And so this can pull in a combination of energies, and in many ways you get to choose, right? This could have many Cancers standing up for themselves. I think that's going to be the primary motivating influence of the Mars retrograde conjunct that moon. Standing up and saying, I had enough of this. This is all going to end. And it may be even something quieter inside yourself, Cancer, where you say, I've had enough of having compassion for everybody but me. I've had enough of nurturing other people and not me. And it's you putting a full stop to that, saying, it's going to be about me here. I need to make a powerful change to take care of me, to nurture me and have compassion for me. I think that's going to be the overriding energy here for most Cancers. You standing up for yourself, right? And saying, I'm important here too. Now, your ruler is the moon, right? So this is an important full moon for you. It may bring in some ending of some sort. And this could have, this could have something as simple too for those Cancers that say are pregnant and are giving birth at this time. This could be you giving birth at this time. But maybe it's you giving birth to something that you're going to be putting new energy into, right? So the Mars says the energy, but the retrograde says you've got to consider it. You've got to look at it. You've got to investigate it. Not going forward with it necessarily, but considering it, right? That's the other thing. So some Cancers may end some things and then begin some others, especially planning for other things with that Mars retrograde, right? Now, the new moon in Aquarius, well, that's in your 8th house. And you've got Mercury conjunct Pluto in that 8th house too. Wow. I mean, you may get some powerful information, say, from an institution of some sort that say, we've got some money sitting here for you, or that investment that you made a couple of years ago has gone way up. Do you want to cash it in? Or they may actually present some investment of some sort that's important for you. Certainly there's going to be important communications going on here with regards to other people's money, resources, investments, 401ks. And I would say this is very positive. It's a new start here. Maybe your partner will make more money, and some powerful person that they're involved with says, yeah, hey, you're going to be getting more money here. And that affects you with regards to your finances too, because it's a joint finance thing. For others, it might be a new start in a sexual relationship, because that also can be here. For still others at an advanced sort of level, this could have your psychological self being risen up to a very enlightened level. And certainly for those Cancers that may be psychologists or in the field of psychology, you may get some real insight into helping nurture your clients. Take care, Cancer. So Leo, that full moon in Cancer falls in your 12th house. And we had the Mars retrograde conjuncting that moon. So it says to me that, it's a very powerful time for you to consider rest. That's the big thing I get for you here, Leo. That the Cancer says you've got to have compassion for yourself, you've got to nurture yourself, and the best way to do that is for you to take a rest. That Mars retrograde conjunct the moon really says that your emotions could be kind of lit up to some extent, but at the same time, they're being held back for whatever reason. Now, the other thing with that 12th house is the house of secrets. So there may be some big reveal of some secret of some sort that comes out that is unexpected. Now, you are ruled by the sun, and because this is a full moon we're talking about, we know that the sun is in the opposite sign and the 6th house. And so this says to me there may be some big spotlight put on your day-to-day job. If you don't work, it's, well, what do you do day to day? A big spotlight put on maybe small animals of some sort. A big spotlight put on your health as well. And certainly if something does come up here with regards to your health, it doesn't mean it's all going to be doom and gloom. It just means, a tap on the shoulder. It's time for you to take care of this. And again, I think it goes back to this whole idea of what is Cancer all about? And it's about nurturing ourselves and having compassion for ourselves. So going to a health spa or ashram would be very much in the mix here for you, Leo, at that full moon in Cancer. That's on the 13th of January. When we look at that new moon in Aquarius, we know that Aquarius is your opposite sign. So now we're looking at an opposition with the 7th house. 7th house refers to business partnerships, marriage partnerships, any clients or any other. So it's you looking at other people is going to be featured here, right? And because we've got Mercury conjunct Pluto there as well, there's going to be some important news regarding a partner that I would say is very powerful with regards to transforming that relationship. Yeah. So it might be that your partner, you're looking at your partner and they're translating or speaking about, communicating about some powerful thing that's come their way, some powerful communication. This is going to be important, though. You are going to be involved with this. It's important for you to pay attention to. It doesn't mean this is going to be bad. It's a new start. A new start to some important, powerful communication coming your way towards the end of January. That may have something to do with a partner and or clients, right? In fact, it could be that you have a very powerful client come your way that helps transform your life and puts new energy into your life, especially if it has anything to do with electronic things. So this could be YouTube, internet, podcasts even as well. Maybe you take up something new in that area, right? Take care, Leo. So Virgo, that full moon in Cancer, sextiles your sign. That means opportunities, right? And then we also have the Mars retrograde conjunct the moon in that 11th house as well. So this says to me there may be some friends that leave your life, right? For whatever reason. I mean, at its worst, this could be some arguments with friends or disagreements with friends. And you say, okay, well, we have to agree to disagree here. And you go your way, I'll go my way. It is a full moon, so it does speak to endings here. But it can also be you decide that you don't want to belong to, say, certain societies or certain groups anymore. And you get the opportunity just to leave one group and maybe join another group. That's what I'm thinking here. The 11th house also is hopes, dreams, and wishes. So, hey, Virgo, you may, say, wow, I've managed to, at this full moon, fulfill one of my hopes, dreams, or wishes. And this may come through some very careful planning on your part. And that careful planning is the conjunction of a Mars retrograde with that moon. I say be compassionate, thoughtful, and be considerate of other people, especially with regards to friends, should you have some disagreements of some sort. That's all I've got to say. It's a sextile, so it's nice opportunities. This is not like something where you've got to be really challenged by it. I think you're just going to be reconsidering some of the friends you have. Maybe you're not on the same page anymore, right? And you make the decision easily to let them go. Now, when we look at that new moon in Aquarius, that's in your 6th house. And together with that new moon in Aquarius, we have Mercury conjunct Pluto. So this is a powerful new start for you, Virgo, with regards to probably a job that you're in or the day-to-day things that you do in a job and or your health or all those things. It can also be for some Virgos that they take this big decision of getting a small animal into their life, because that's also the 6th house too. But there's some powerful message coming through here. I'm thinking for some Virgos, in your day-to-day job, for instance, somebody in a position of power is going to be communicating something very important to you, maybe giving you a new directive with regards to your job, maybe you being awarded a contract of some sort at this time, right? So we're talking, that new moon is towards the end. That is 29th of January, right? And the interesting thing is that Uranus, by transit, certainly by the 30th, will have gone direct too. So it's like an unexpected surprise could come your way with regards to a day-to-day job or what you do day to day. Yeah. For others, this may be a time when you take on the mantle of power yourself and get a new job. That could be the sixth house influence too. Take care, Virgo. So Libra, that full moon in Cancer squares you, and it involves the 10th house. And we have the Mars retrograde conjunct the moon at that same time too. So this says to me, I'm thinking that you're going to have to go back on something with regards to whatever you're doing in your career. And hey, for some Librans, this may be an actual conscious thing where you take that 10,000 foot view and say, this career is not working for me. I need to do something about it. And you use that Mars retrograde to think through what steps do you need to take to make the changes. Mars retrograde is great that way. Planning is one of the best words to describe a Mars retrograde in terms of using it in a positive way. Yeah, I mean, there could be some frustrations also for you, Libra, at work. These could come through males and females, right? Males are represented by Mars. Females can be represented by the moon. And there may be just some frustrations here that you're trying to do something with regards to your career. It doesn't seem to be moving forward. Hey, Libra, remember, this is all going to go direct towards the end of February. So if there are frustrations in that in your career, just plan for towards the end of February, things getting cleared up more easily for you. Sort of in conjunction with this, we have the sixth house, which represents our day-to-day job or the things we do day to day and our health. Well, you're going to have Venus, your ruler, conjunct Saturn at that time in Pisces. So this could be a good support for you. You may get more serious about the money that you're earning. Maybe you're going to ask for more money. Maybe that's part of your frustration too. You could also get involved with someone romantically at work. So we're still talking about this full moon, right? And the effects that are going on. But you could also, just as more likely at that full moon, demand that you want more money for the work that you do. That's played out with the aspect of Venus, money, conjunct Saturn, right? Now, when we look at that new moon in Aquarius, that forms a lovely trine with you, Libra, and involves your fifth house. The other aspect going on at the same time is going to be Mercury conjunct Pluto. Wow. So you would be making some announcements about a new love in your life. Straight off here, right? A significant one. The other thing that you may announce for some Librans, maybe that you're pregnant or your partner's pregnant. You may also hear from someone in a position of power that awards you a fantastic creative project. That's very fifth house. Children may have some important transformational things happening to them at this time too, because that is also the fifth house. But the fifth house is having fun too. And when I look at the fact that that new moon is in Aquarius, that's kind of like internet type things, or maybe internet games that you can play. You decide to have some fun at that new moon by taking up some gaming type things that give you a lot of entertainment, that help you have fun. Fifth house is all about having fun too. And I mean, the fifth house is also games of chance, and especially with that Mercury conjunct Pluto. Now, don't hold me to winning the lottery or some prize of some sort, but there could be something like that there too for some Librans. And for those that do have that, well, good luck. All right, take care, Libra. So Scorpio, that full moon in Cancer is in a fellow water sign, so we know it trines your sign favorably. And we have that Mars retrograde, which is one of your rulers, it's your modern ruler, conjunct that moon. Yeah, just see what actual house that's going to be in for you. Yeah, so it's your ninth house that's aspected by that full moon. I mean, the ninth house is a lovely house. It's foreign people, foreign things. It's travel. So for some Scorpios, you may literally be wrapping up some travel of some sort. Maybe you took extended holiday leave and, you're coming back from a long distance trip of some sort. There may be some frustrations for those Scorpios that are doing that with the Mars retrograde conjunct that moon. So I would say if you are doing something like that, Scorpio, have a plan A, B, and C for those that are doing the travel, especially long distance travel. But the other thing is that this can rule things like, hey, for those that are looking for a green card or some visa application to be approved, that full moon can bring it in, stamped, right? For others, this could be you seeing the end of an advanced degree. Yeah. For others, it could be a wrap-up of a legal matter, very positively, by the way. This is a trine, so this is favorable energy being beamed your way. And still others, you may be publishing something. And publishing something doesn't mean you have to be like literally publishing a book. It could be publishing something that you've been working very hard on with regards to, say, something the company you work for needed, that you get the green light to get this published now. Yeah. Overall, I would say, Scorpio, this is you wrapping up some travel of some sort or something to do with foreign people. When we look at that new moon in Aquarius, Scorpio, that squares you and involves your fourth house. And remember, at this new moon, you will also have Mercury conjunct Pluto in that fourth house. So this just says to me that you've got some challenges with regards to the family, maybe specifically to the mother, or a home, your family home or your own home that you have right now. So you wanting to make a new start, say for those Scorpios that are literally purchasing their first home, or even wanting to, say, rent a new home of some sort. There just may be some challenges you've got to overcome to make that happen. Now, I would say with that Mercury conjunct Pluto, seek out somebody in power to help you out here. Yeah, I mean, Mercury conjunct Pluto is powerful messages, powerful information to help you transform anything to do with the family, your mother, your literal home. Yeah. I mean, the other thing this could be, of course, is kind of in a projected form. So you may have someone like, say, I'm thinking, say, your mother is having difficulties at home, maybe difficulties due to advanced age. And this is a challenge for you because you've got to somehow help this person, your mother, overcome these. It may even involve you having to consider bringing your mother to your home to look after, or some, say, family member is in some crisis of some sort, and you've got to step in to handle it. Just think outside the box, get a win-win situation going, and look to, like I said, look to powerful people to help you resolve this issue. So that could be looking to government, for instance. Maybe there's some government institution that can help you out to help your mother, right? So think creatively and think outside the box for those challenges, Scorpio. Take care of yourself. So Sagittarius, that full moon in Cancer is in your 8th house. So in that 8th house, you also have Mars retrograde conjunct the moon. So the 8th house is the house of shared resources. It's your 401k. It's any investments that you have. It's also your psychological self and your sex life. So all these things may be up for you, Sagittarius, in terms of some kind of culmination or ending. So there may be some Sagittarians that have some shared resource end at this time. That could be up for you. For others, some Sagittarians may decide they want to retire. And that's part of this full moon, that now you've got to access those funds that have been accumulating. You've now got to use that as part of the income that you have coming in. and you decide you've got to put this all together. And the Mars retrograde conjunct the moon is ideal for planning. How am I going to go about accessing these funds for myself? So retirement could be up for you big time here, Sagittarius, or that you just have to access some of your funds. Maybe you're going to be buying your first home and you need to access some money to put down, and you decide to go in and look at some of your investments in terms of liquidating them, right? For others, this may a sexual relationship may end at this time. Maybe it's not nurturing enough for you. Yeah, and others, you may end some psychological counseling of some sort. You may decide that you no longer need to go in for psychological counseling at this time. But certainly Mars retrograde conjunct that moon can bring in a little bit of frustration. So whatever you're doing with regards to shared resources or accessing maybe investments and that type of thing here. This also can include taxes too, by the way, and credit cards. So there may be some Sagittarians that need to take a careful look at how they're spending their money with regards to using things like credit cards, right? Or using money that you should be saving instead of spending. That might be a big theme here for some Sagittarians. But there's an ending of some sort with regards to some kind of shared resources for you, Sagittarius. Just do the planning for it and you should be fine. That new moon in Aquarius sextiles you, Sagittarius, and involves your third house. In that third house, you also will have Mercury conjunct Pluto. So third house is all about communications, right? Short distance travel too. But this to me says, for sure, Sagittarius, there's some very powerful new start for you with regards to some kind of messaging, maybe even a contract, because contracts are ruled by the third house too. And it's a big change in perhaps an existing contract. But it's a very powerful and transformational change for you here around the 29th of Jan that helps you get on a new start. Some of this may be unexpected as well, because of course Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, at least the modern ruler, and that's unexpected things coming through here, right? So I would, if I were you, Sagittarius, pay close attention to understanding any messages that come in from the government, anyone in a position of power at this time. You will have to sit up and pay attention here. But it's a sextile. So it says you're going to have an opportunity here. Maybe it's an opportunity to do some short distance travel as well, right? Maybe your boss says, hey, would you like to just travel around the state and the city as part of your job? And that's your new start. For still others, it might be a writing project comes up for you, an opportunity for a writing project. Mercury conjunct Pluto could be very transformational. Writing project comes up for you that gives you this new start. And maybe it has something to do with online type things, right? Yeah, I mean, you could even start up your own podcast at that new moon. I'm thinking, wow, that's an awesome thing that you could possibly do too. Yeah, your big thing, Sagittarius, of course, is your ruling planet, Jupiter, will go from Gemini into Cancer in June of 2025. But I'll talk about more about that later. But that's going to enter into giving you a lot more compassion and nurturing for yourself, right? Take care of yourself, Sagittarius. So Capricorn, that full moon in Cancer, of course, is opposite your sign. So that involves your 7th house. And in that 7th house, we will also have Mercury going retrograde conjuncting that moon. So this really puts a big focus on your partner. Something happening with your partner, some frustration perhaps, some ending for them perhaps, that you are going to be involved in with them. Now, it could boil down to something like your partner has to plan and work on the details of some maybe business partnership of some sort. And it's taking up a lot of their time, and it does affect you directly. That could come up here too. Or your partner has to do a lot more with clients. Even though it's a Mars retrograde, it could spell out that they have to do a lot more planning to do the work for the clients that they have. Yeah, so I'm thinking that it could be this big focus on your client. But for other Capricorns, this could have somebody coming back into your life from your past, right? Mars retrograde can bring people from your past, notably usually males. And conjunct the moon, there may be some spark that happens here, right? For some Capricorns, where the full moon brings this big spotlight to a potential maybe marriage partner. I mean, at this time also, you're going to have Venus conjuncting Saturn, and it'll be sextiling you in your third house. So I think there's going to be perhaps somebody from the past come in your way that may involve you having a serious partnership with them. Now, this could be a business partnership as well as a marriage partnership, right? But there may also be some tests here as well. When we look at that Venus conjunct Saturn, Capricorn, in your third house, it could be that communications has to be very clearly spelled out if there is somebody returning into your life. And this person could be older than you, or you could be the older person. That's that influence of Saturn, right? That new moon in Aquarius falls in your second house. And also in that second house, we will have Mercury conjunct Pluto in Aquarius too. Well, this could be, for some Capricorns, a new source of income. Yeah. You get a very powerful message, maybe from someone in power that says, hey, would you like to do this job? And we're going to give you this money for it. It may, for some Capricorns, involve things like YouTube, podcasts, any kind of electronic communications. So that could be the internet too, right? So this is a powerful new start for you, Capricorn, regarding the income that you earn. It's also a powerful new transformational start to show your value, where people show that they value you. And through valuing you, they give you the money that you deserve, right? And this could come in unexpectedly because this is Aquarius, right? This new start. Aquarius is ruled, modern ruler is Uranus. And that's unexpected things happening, right? Now for you, Capricorn, this year has your ruler, your modern ruler, Saturn, is going to be going into Aries. So this is a big shift with your ruler going in there. This is going to be you. It's almost like you wanting to manifest who you are, make more permanent the fact that you're an individual and you want to be respected. That's kind of very much that influence may have on you, Saturn in Aries. Kind of doing it your way, right? And so that Saturn, your ruler going into Aries, is in May of this year, coming up, 2025, for about 2.5 years. Take care, Capricorn. All right, everybody. I'm wishing everybody all the best for this new year, 2025, coming up. Sending everybody a lot of love and a lot of inspiration. We got a big influence of Pisces at the start of this year. And so that, to me, equates to inspiration, right? Yeah. Now, for those that would like to have their chart done, or maybe even their friend or a family member, please reach out to me. All my contact info is below. There's various things that you can do. Most of them are at most people's price ranges. And I look forward to that. That's one of my favorite things to do, is people's charts. I will be doing a live presentation. So I picked Saturday, the 28th of December, 2024, as my next live video. And I will be looking at 2025 and going through each of the individual signs. And of course, taking any questions or comments that you have. I'm really looking forward to it. We did this last year. I finally got it organized. So again, that's going to be Saturday, the 28th of December, 2024. I haven't decided on the exact time, but typically I do this around 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time or California time, right? But I will put this on my YouTube website as a notification. Don't forget to set that bell, ring that bell on your YouTube account so you get all my notifications.